Front pages today, is it, Dipti?
That's right, Stuart. Home Secretary Suella Braverman was given the boot, notably after a series of controversies including her criticizing British police last week for being too lenient towards pro-Palestinian supporters and calling them hate marches in an article that 10 Downing Street did not authorize. Now, Rishi Sunak has also appointed a former TV presenter as Minister for Common Sense, apparently that will tackle wokeism in the public sector. Dumping Braverman, the Daily Mail says, is Rishi's big throw of the dice. It's a big risk, also because he's angered a good part of the Tory party, the hardline right, who were supporters of Braverman. But as you said, Stuart, the big surprise is the comeback kid, David Cameron, back from the wilderness to become Foreign Secretary. That's on the front page of The Times. It also comes 13 years after David Cameron became a Prime Minister. And to quote the Daily Mirror, he unleashed an age of austerity. Critics have slammed Sunak's appointment of David Cameron as a desperate move, much like the Scottish paper, the Daily Record, this tabloid here today, calling him the buffoon that brought you back Brexit, who's back in politics, same old Tory, the Daily Record says on its front page.
Yeah, the world's changed quite a lot, hasn't it, Dipti, since Cameron was Prime Minister. His legacy could impact his new role, perhaps?
Well, there is Brexit, of course, as we mentioned. The Guardian also looks at his policy on China, which is one that has notably changed since David Cameron was Prime Minister. Back when he was Prime Minister, this picture of him drinking a pint of IPA with Xi Jinping really symbolized the British government's attempt to reach out to China and foster closer relations with Beijing. That vision, of course, is very different today, with fears around China's possible invasion of Taiwan, but also its suppression of democratic rights in Hong Kong. The Times cartoonist Morton Moreland really illustrating that with another scandal, one of the worst lobbying scandals in the UK, in which David Cameron earned millions of pounds. Now he'll be lobbying for the UK. It'll make for a change, Moreland says, ironically, of Cameron in this cartoon, which also features him as a Lord, because he was just recently appointed Lord.
And as Foreign Secretary, David Cameron will no doubt be navigating Britain's position on the war against Hamas in Gaza, the untenable position of hospitals in Gaza making front pages today.
Well, let's show you the Saudi front page, Saudi paper Al-Sharq Al-Awsat today evoking the agony of this hospital, the Nasser Hospital. A doctor here says he's desperately trying to save children who've been injured in Israeli bombardments of Gaza. The similar picture for Libération, which is looking at the Al-Shifa Hospital, the one that is currently flanked by Israeli tanks deprived of water and electricity. It's become impossible to evacuate patients, putting the hospital in a really untenable position, Libération says in a very rather critical headline this Tuesday. The Independent, for its part, also looking at this very same hospital and the heart-wrenching situation that premature babies are facing, being kept alive by tin foil as incubators lose power. According to a top official in the Gaza Health Ministry run by Hamas, 4 of the premature babies have lost their mothers, the mothers delivering the babies just before they died. While normally the babies would have had their own incubator at this crucial period in their life, now there's a situation where something like 8 babies are being cuddled together in the same bed to preserve body heat. So a very, very untenable, tragic situation in that hospital there right now.
Well, let's try to end on something a little less heartbreaking, shall we? After Generation Z, the New York Times helms a new generation. This is Generation Alpha.
That's right. It seems like we've just gone right back to the beginning because we've run out of names for new generations. The New York Times talks about Gen Alpha, referring to kids born between 2010 and 2025. So some Gen Alpha kids have not yet been born, coined by a generational researcher in Australia several years ago. And as you can imagine, with a new generation comes new slang particular to that generation. Let's see if we can take you through some of that vernacular that the New York Times talked about. Stuart, there is a word called rizzler. I'm not sure if you know what that means.
No.
It means a good person or someone oozing charisma. So it kind of is derived from that. Phantom tax, that's basically when you have to share your lunch with someone. So a tax, skibbity, which is actually a gaming term that refers to someone who's evil or just a bad person. And gyat, which is someone with a big butt, but this is something you can usually say to someone you're close to, like your friend or your mom, apparently. So many more, so many more words make up their new vernacular, Stuart. There's actually a TikTok video by this middle school teacher who actually takes us through all the words that he hears in class. He says he knows most of them, but some of them, even to him, are quite foreign. Words that you've probably never heard and probably do not yet exist in the dictionary. But don't you think about using them, because as soon as anyone who is not a Gen Alpha will use them, you can imagine it'll disappear from their vocabulary.
It's all a code, isn't it? I was looking at some of those ones you've got listed there, Dipsy. I think you're one of them, but I'm not going to say which one.
You're not going
it
to
is.
tell me which
No,
one.
Don't worry, it's not the big butt. You're all right on that
I hope
one.
it's not the skibbity either.